Good Saturday morning. You guys are seeing this
Is
on
this Saturday?
They're seeing this on Saturday. Yes.
Happy New Year.
This is a special edition of Dave's Senior Moments. So Dad's going to kind of tell a story. You guys saw a little bit of us talking about this a little bit on last night, Friday's video about color on your signs. This is going to be probably our latest version of how to get color on your signs, especially if you're talking down in the groove where you're doing your routing. So what we are not talking about is color on top of the board, like on outset letters or on artwork. That generally we do these days with one shot. That's not what we're talking about here. We'll do other videos on this. If you guys want to see other videos on this, that's fine. In fact, you guys will be seeing a video very soon, me painting that chloride leather shop sign. You guys will see me using this. Another, what we're not talking about is acrylic paints. These are water-based acrylic paints. I do use these once in a while. Even sometimes I have used them down in the groove, but I probably won't be using them anymore for that, and you're going to find out why. So, first things first. Dad, I would like you to tell these folks the story on how we started using spray stencil ink, why we use it, and how we started using it.
When I first started making signs in, I guess, 1970, we used to use paint, just because that was color, and I'd spray pretty light. But even then, when I would sand it off, there'd be a certain amount of blending down in the fiber of the signs, and the paint would tend to gum up the sanding belt. And I used to buy supplies. I'd buy some of my supplies from a company in Stockton, California, named what was the name of that?
Marks-a-Lot, yeah.
And I was over there one time talking to the guy at Marks-a-Lot, and I told him that I needed to try to find a paint that didn't soak into the wood. And he said, what? He said, you might try Ideal ink. He said, it's a stencil ink, and it dries on top of whatever it goes on. It dries on top, and it doesn't soak in. So I said, okay, let me have a can of Ideal ink. So I bought a can, in fact I bought a couple cans of Ideal ink, and I took them.
And it was black?
It was black, yeah. Although Ideal did make color, I didn't, at that point in time, I didn't make any signs, or very few signs with color. So I tried the Ideal ink, and I sprayed it lightly, and when I put the sanding belt to it, it sanded off, and it didn't bleed into to the pore of the wood, and it was just absolutely ideal. So from that point on, I used Ideal ink for everything. Of course, I wasn't teaching other people to do it, so I didn't tell everybody else, what to use. We just used it for our own use, and because we were making signs, and that's all we did. We didn't have our teaching apparatus
This was in 1970.
Yeah, this is 1970, and we weren't teaching other people to do anything. We were just
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that came much later. We were just trying to figure out the best way to do it for our customers, because we were making signs literally for our customers. I had several hardware stores and lumber yards that we put displays in, and the customers would come in, fill out an order card that I designed, and then the hardware store, lumberyard, home center would let us know that they had an order. I would go pick the order up. I didn't have to talk to the customer, because the way I had the order card laid out, they filled all that information out, so I knew exactly what it was going to be. And then after we got the sign done, I'd take it back into the store, tell the service people, what to tell a customer. If I happened to be there when the customer, when the customer came in, I'd explain to them. But that's how the whole thing started, and that's...
Okay, so let me ask you a question. You mentioned several times Ideal ink.
Yes.
This is, and that's the brand name.
That was the brand name.
This is Marsh Ink.
Right.
So, you want to tell a brief thing about that? I think Ideal kind of went out of business,
Well,
didn't they?
yeah, Ideal did in fact sort of go out of business. They stopped selling to the people that I bought from. And in order for me to buy it direct from Ideal, I would have to buy like 30 cases at a time, something like that. But I found out that Marsh Ink was available at several different places that I could buy. And this was before the internet, of course.
Way before the internet.
But Marsh Ink was available. I had to hunt for it. It wasn't easy to find, but I eventually found a source for Marsh Ink.
Yeah.
And Marsh Ink was excuse me. Marsh Ink was basically the same as Ideal Ink. So we just switched over and started using Marsh, and that's what we've used for years.
Okay.
And then later on, after we'd been doing this for a while, Eric and I decided to make a video on how to do what we do, and then we started selling those videos online and to people as the internet started going. So we would sell those videos, a set of 3 one-hour videos, to teach people how to do what we do, and that's when we would recommend the Marsh, or we would recommend ink at any rate. Ideal, I think, was still available, but we would recommend Marsh Ink. And that's how we got into it, and that's how we got into the teaching, because we decided to make a video to teach people how to do what we do, and this whole thing just sort of...
Back then, wasn't it all on a VHS too?
Well, yeah, it was VHS. In fact, I've still got the originals, which are big. I mean, they're like this big, the original VHS masters, what they call the masters. They'll probably be heirlooms one of these days, but I've still got them, and they're about...
Yeah.
They're probably 13 inches by 9 inches.
They're big fat things.
And they're an inch and a quarter thick. It just...
Yeah.
Thinking back, it's just unreal what we've done and the technology that has advanced since we started.
Yeah.
And now we do stuff like when Eric does his filming and stuff. It's on a damn little thing like this. It's smaller than a thumbnail.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely incredible, the technology that has come and gone since we started. So I'm constantly amazed at it.
Okay, so now to get back on track. So you guys know that this is what we've used for decades.
Excuse me a minute. Do you know that you're shouting?
Yeah, I know. That's what I do.
You've got your hearing aid in, don't you?
I've got a hearing aid in, and it sounds like he's sitting there. I don't know how loud my voice is, but he sounds like he's sitting there shouting at the top of his lungs.
He's used to talking to you, Rick.
I'm used to screaming
He's used to
when I talk
talking
to
to
you.
me in order to get me to hear it. He has to talk that loud. But I've got this amplifier, this sound amplifier in my left ear. I'm glad I don't have it in my right ear. But I've got this, but it just sounds like he's just shouting.
He is, actually.
Okay, so I'll try and dial it down. But I get excited and I start talking fast and loud. So this is what we used for decades for our black. And then you guys, many of you know this already. In case you didn't, this also comes in colors. There's 5, 6, 7 different colors that it comes in. So it's basically the same thing but colored. So that's what we used and recommended literally for decades. Well, a few years ago, and then that's all we used. If we wanted color other than that, down in the groove, we didn't do it because I didn't want to take a brush and use this kind of thing and get down in the, and understand too, guys, where we came from, we were selling through hardware stores, but we were also going out and making signs on site at flea markets, craft shows,
Horse shows,
fairs.
I built a trailer. We would go out to a horse show, and we'd work with the sponsor or with the founder of the horse shows. And then as the gymkhana went on and as the class was finished, the first place class prize would be one of our signs, because back in those days, and even now, they give ribbons, and they give bridles, and they give silver for the saddles. But when we started doing it, nobody else was doing routed signs as a first prize for the class that it was in. So
Yeah.
it was pretty popular while we were doing it. I don't know what's going on now, but it was pretty popular at the time.
But the point I was making is that we had to do this stuff fast. So brushing on with a paintbrush down in the groove just simply wasn't an option, because we had to do them fast because we were out there doing them on site as people waited. So anyway, fast forward about 45 years, and now then we came across this black primer, this Rust-Oleum black primer.
And that's just been a few years ago.
That's been 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So you guys know, if you've been watching for a while, this is something that we found worked just as well, and it was much cheaper, and it worked just as well as the ink. Didn't really question why it worked just as well, but it did. So we've been talking about this for several years. So we now use both of them. But that didn't solve any issues as far as color down in the groove. Okay? So then about 6 months ago, I'm walking around in Lowe's, and I don't know, it could be that somebody even turned me on to this. It's been so long I can't remember. But I ended up trying something else.
I think that's when I did my grandma's menu. I used the chalk, and that's when we
Could
found
be.
the colors.
I found out that Krylon actually makes a chalk paint. This is, and I tried this, and it comes in probably 6 or 7 different colors. Most of them, the red actually looks much like the red ink when it's finished up. So this stuff actually works really well. And there's, again, 4 or 5 different colors, but most of the colors, other than the red, most of them are kind of a pastel type color. So I was
sort of a chalky color.
No, pastel, like a light blue, light gray, light pink, that kind of thing. Not chalky, smarty pants. Anyway, so and I've been wanting to make a video on this, and but I just hadn't got to it yet. So this is, I'm telling you right now, this stuff actually works. It dries fast, it looks good, it doesn't bleed, and it sands well. So the other day, literally the other day, I'm thinking in my mind, and again, maybe some of you have already figured this out. I'm thinking, what is in common with all 3 of these? What do all 3 of these have in common? And I'm thinking, I'm going, well, the one thing that I could say that they all have in common is they are a flat color. They're not gloss.
Matte.
They're a matte, a flat or matte. So I thought, you know how sometimes you guys get in a groove and you do something over and over and over, and you somehow make it work for you and you just roll with it? Well, it's been 50 years now. It takes us a while to catch on. So anyway, I thought, well, have I ever really tried a matte finish color? I don't know that we ever have, as far as paint,
not that I'm aware
from
of.
a paint standpoint. So we were down at Lowe's. I picked up some of this. This is a paint / primer. You know how I tell you guys, do not use paint / primer?
Set it up. Just set, yeah, it's good.
Don't use a paint at all, when that's what we've been saying for 50 years.
Yeah, I've said that 100 times, 1,000 times.
Don't use paint.
We just do not recommend using paint, and I always try to preface that with the reason why we don't use it, and
Right.
And it's still valid. The reason we don't use paint is because it soaks in
It bleeds,
and it bleeds into the wood.
and it loads up on your sanding belts,
Yeah.
on your discs.
It'll mess
Those-
up a sanding belt just sanding off one side, where if you use the right like ink or what we recommend you use,
So-
you can sand off 20 or 30 signs and never load up a bill.
So let me tell you what I discovered. I bought 3 different colors in this Fusion paint primer matte. I bought 3 different colors, a red, a purple, and a green. This is the results. I went online, and this matte Fusion all-in-one paint comes in 15 different colors. And there's some really
I
cool
think
colors.
You mentioned too on this sign, didn't you mention that you sprayed that twice?
This is 2 coats. 2 coats of paint. Very, very light coats. I'm still adamant, do not overspray. But here's the thing. You guys might notice this is pine and there's no sanding sealer on there. I did not put sanding sealer on here, and I sprayed it 2 coats of each color down in the background there. 0 bleeding.
Yeah, pine is one of the worst. Pine is a great wood for signs, but it's one of the worst for the pores opening up and the paint soaking in and bleeding.
Yep.
That's one of the worst woods for that,
I like
although it's
that
great
purple.
wood for signs.
And you guys know, I harp on it all the time. If you're using pine, put sanding sealer on it. This had no sanding sealer on it, and I actually coated it twice, each one of those colors, and there's 0 bleeding. I would not have believed it if I hadn't proved it to myself. So I am telling you right now, this stuff works. Now,
What about price-wise? Is that about the same price?
about $5 to $6 a can online, on Amazon.
That's about what ink costs.
That's about what ink costs. That's about what this primer costs. About $5, $6 a can. Now,
But you have ready access to it from, like...
yeah, I bought this at Lowe's.
Yeah.
Now, the Lowe's, I don't think
And
they have,
they'll have it at other, probably Ace Hardware and other places.
well,
So you have ready access to it,
Yeah.
and you have access to like 12 or 15 colors. It's just
yeah, so this
there's several
changes,
advantages to
it changes the game, guys, completely changes the game. Now, I took it one step further because it was like, okay, so now I've tried a matte spray, and this says paint and primer. I've tried a matte spray. This is the Krylon. What about other brands? So, I was in Walmart the other day, and I bought this Rust-Oleum matte. This is a blue of some
That's
kind.
actually ultra matte, whatever.
Ultra
whatever
matte. This
the
is
hell
an
that means.
evening navy blue. So I thought, well, I'm going to test it out. Is it just this Rust-Oleum paint and primer, or is there other brands that will work? So let me show you what I found out. There it is, right there. Don't show that yet, Dad. We got to get to that. So there it is, right there. No bleeding whatsoever. Now this is a piece of cedar. This is not pine, but this is a Rust-Oleum matte paint and primer, which I guess is pretty popular now.
In front of the, there you go.
So my hunch is, my guess is, any color that you can get, as long as it's matte, at least that's what I'm figuring right now. I'm not even sure
So
that
far,
that seems to be the common denominator.
Seems to be working out.
Now this, you guys may be asking yourself, let me grab it. What about the matte finish in black? Yes, that's what this is. This is black matte finish of the Fusion.
You're going too fast. Put that back up there.
So that's what that is. That's what the black is. No bleeding. Now, here's the drawback. The one drawback in all of these matte finish. About 20 minutes to dry. 20 minutes to a half hour to dry. So it's not quick dry. So if you are out on site, doing it on site, I would not suggest this stuff unless you give it a half hour to dry.
Is that just the Rust-Oleum or the Krylon?
That's the
too?
matte. Any of this matte finish. Now,
Now,
honest,
we haven't used like a heat gun to try to dry it faster.
no, I haven't
Which
tried
would be a
that.
possibility, but we haven't done that. But under normal conditions, it takes about 20 minutes for it to dry enough for you to sand it off.
Right. Now, the chalk paint, however, this is fast drying. This is only minutes drying, only a few minutes for this to dry if you've got any kind of decent temperature. So, but again, limited colors in this. But most of you are not carving on site. So I wouldn't even sweat it. And if you are carving on site, you may not be doing colors down in the groove. Now let me tell you what doesn't work. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I know gloss doesn't work, semi-gloss doesn't work, matte does work. What about satin? What's the difference between matte and satin? And does satin work? So I got a can of satin black. The same fusion, except this is satin. I tried it on pine with no sanding sealer. Bleeding. I don't know if you can get in close enough to see that, but this definitely bled.
Oh, yeah.
So I am not recommending satin at all. Don't buy satin. It must be matte. Now, I don't know the difference between matte and flat. I think it's the same, but I don't even know. But I know everything that I've tried so far, matte finish is what you want. And
it had something to do with the formula of the chemicals and the quantities and the stuff they put in there that causes it to bleed in or not bleed.
Yeah. So again, guys, this just goes to show we've been doing this longer than some of you have been alive, and we're still learning. Just when you think you got it all figured out, you know. So and I want to use this as a teachable moment too. Don't get so set in your ways that you don't keep your mind open. I've said that many times before. Dad has said that many times before. But sometimes it's easy to say, not that easy to do. So, you know, and again, there may be 10 other different manufacturers out there that have a matte finish that might work. I don't know. These are the two that I've tried, and they both work great. So
there might be a foreign product. There might be something from China that will work. We don't know. We haven't tried everything.
I don't know,
but we will pass on to you what we've learned that we know will work. We're going to try to pass that on to our
American.
Yeah. So I'm probably, honestly, I was so happy with this stuff. I haven't tried any other colors than the blue on the Rust-Oleum, but I'm so happy with this stuff. I'm probably going to order it on Amazon, and then we'll put all the colors in our Amazon store. If you guys want to buy them from us through Amazon, buy them from Amazon through our store, you can do that as well. And I checked all the prices. There's 15 different colors, and they range from $5 to $6 depending on the. But there's some really cool colors in there that I want to get and try. I guess that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew as soon as we did. Literally, I carved this like yesterday. So I wanted you guys to see this. We talked about it on Friday night. We're filming this actually.
I really like what it's going to do to give our students additional colors that they can put on their signs, because nearly everything that we've done has always just been black background, and we have done some colors, but this gives you, it just opens up a whole new world of color for your signs that we just didn't do before.
Yep, and it literally is a game changer for me. Now I know when I'm talking to a customer, I can offer them a whole range of colors for down in the groove, and then, you know, obviously for on top of here, on top of the outset letters, I use one shot, and so you have kind of unlimited coloring capability, guys. So we hope this helps. We kind of went longer than I wanted to, but I wanted it to be complete. I'm going to probably send people in the future back to this video as far as coloring your carving. And you guys might have something, you might have already figured this out, and we're just kind of slow on the uptake. I don't know.
Old and set in your ways.
Old and set in our ways, yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching this special edition of Dave's Senior Moments. He'll be back next Saturday on episode 19. I think this is episode 18. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll have a brand new video. Hopefully, with any luck at all, the next video you will see will be finishing up that chloride leather sign. I'm hoping. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for, and this is a great opportunity for us to thank everybody for the amazing year that 2019 was.
Yeah, it was an amazing year for us. We've done so much around the property here, and built Vicky's new studio, and we've got this studio that was in last year, and so we've done a lot. But it's all of our success has been thanks to you guys and how you've supported us too.
Yep. So thank you so much for the great thing that 2019 was, and we've got some really exciting stuff coming up in 2020. So stay tuned. We're still going to keep rocking 4 videos a week, Lord willing. So we'll stay at it. Thanks, guys. We love you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.